Alright, hello everybody, welcome to the Ultimate 80% Current Patch Guide, as I'm calling it. This is going to be a multi-part series, which I'm going to use to break down the entirety of the 80% Current Patch speedrun. There has already been some guides out there made for other people, but because usually they just kind of commentate over the run itself and how I've done it in the past as well, we don't usually give ourselves enough time to break down every single little detail of the run itself. So I'm going to try and describe all the little nuances that I do, all the little optimizations I do to this day. And if not, maybe just show some of the alternatives you can use as well. If you don't want to do all the risky strats, you want to do something safer. I'll describe both of them pretty much. This video is bound to be outdated at some point, but I do hope it's still useful in some of the little things like I'm going to show you overall. So even though it's going to be a lot of work and probably outdated eventually, it should still be worth it, I hope. I do have one video that I made a while ago they consider like an unofficial start to this series. It is called How to Start Speedrunning Demon's Souls. Basically describes how you can start practicing runs and a lot of little tips I would suggest for starting out speedrunning. You can watch that before or after this video. They'll probably be helpful both times, but to actually learn the speedrun, obviously I still recommend watching this one in particular. Full disclosure, I did intend to have a gamepad viewer on screen, but it really messed with my computer. Sometimes it like took away my movement from the game and put it on my PC, and I don't know, I just don't know how to fix that right now. But what I'll try to do, if there's anything I feel that's crucial for you to see through my controller, I'll try to edit it in post. Because there's a lot of little things that I've been told that sometimes you don't know which way to flick the camera for Storm Kings, for example. And I would like to describe that in this video. So, alright, let's get started. Of course, you're going to start with a fresh file, and you're going to start with stay offline. Body type for your character doesn't matter, but what does matter is foundation. We're going to start with style B animation. So the reason we picked this is because at the very end of the game, when you're rolling through the little branches of the old one, as you get to the true king a lot, for whatever reason, I'm guessing just the way the animations are different in the hitboxes, animation style B just breaks through those branches a lot easier. You can sometimes just roll into the other ones with A and not really break them at all. So it's just a little bit faster in that sense. And for example, there's a couple of things like the lava skip, which we don't do in this run, but if you don't know, the lava skip is actually a tiny bit easier, I think, with style B as well. I believe that's all the differences. So we do pick that, but you can actually pick body type, whatever you like. I'll say the player's name doesn't matter, so we're just going to name it Ultimate Guide. I have to double check and make sure I'm spelling ultimate right. That's something to think about often. For starter class, we're going to start with Magician. Obviously, we're going to go for a magic build, and I will explain a little bit more why throughout the run. Or why it's more viable throughout the run as opposed to melee. But the stat spread obviously helps our build. We got a lot of magic, a lot of intelligence, a decent amount of endurance. But the main things we want is our wand and the flame toss spell. Those are two are going to be a pretty good starter set. And then the crescent moongrass and the fresh spice is pretty good to have as well. And straight sword. Straight sword's not bad. So magician. If you happen to have the deluxe version of Demon's Souls or the pre-order items or whatever, you would like to turn off the deluxe items because you're not allowed to use them in an official speedrun for the leaderboard. So I would recommend doing that. And then we pick fire bombs as a starter gift. And that's going to be useful for our first boss, obviously, Phalanx. Alright, so if you have a character load up you want to use already, you can actually save the foundation into your character as well. So if you make a preset character, make sure to hit the style B animation as well to save it as well. So I actually never have to pick any foundation. I just save it to my character and preload it back in. Alrighty, so of course we're gonna finalize now. If you didn't know, you can actually skip cutscenes by holding X. If you play this enough, you probably know that, but if you've just played this game once or something, that may not be something you know about. So you definitely do want to do that during speedrun. And when it comes to Journey to Nexus, the tutorial, we're obviously going to skip it. This is any percent. Although honestly, we don't actually do a tutorial in any of the categories at the moment. So just immediately hit no, or you can actually just hit circle as well to cancel. So yeah, we're obviously going to skip it. And I would recommend just starting hold X every time you load in. And right here, for the first problem tier that you get, I would actually recommend mashing through it with X, because right now I'm actually holding circle and I can't run. So just mash X as to get through these problems as fast as possible, and then you can start running to the Archstone basically. And of course we're going to go to the first world one Gates of Boletaria. And the reason I mentioned that is because I have heard some people didn't know that you can actually mash through that to get faster, but yeah, it's nice. Alright, of course hold X, and now we're in 1-1. So first thing I want to describe before we actually do anything is just something that's going to be pretty relevant right away. Stamina management. I'm sure if you've seen other Souls game, you will know a little bit about this, but basically, if I'm ever running in a straight line or whatever, or getting through somewhere and I don't have to interact with anything, generally what I'll do is, if you watch my stamina bar in the top left, I always run until I'm almost out of stamina, but not quite, and then let go. And then I start running right for regions again, so I can start running pretty much as soon as it's filled up. So you're going to do that pretty much for the entirety of the run. The only difference is, say for example, I don't always want to regen all my stamina, so maybe if there's an item that I want to pick up, I'll regen until like halfway. And then I'll just go and run to the item and pick it up, basically. So when there's little interactables and stuff like that, like maybe a fog gate or not even have to pick up, you can actually just not regen the whole thing, but it'll take a while before you can know what exactly you need to pick up along the way. Okay, I'm going to reload here just to reset this area now. Now that I give you the little tutorial of stamina management out of the way. So again, run until you're almost depleted, then let go, and then hit circle right before it's fully regen so you can start running again as quick as possible. Unless there's interactable on the way, you don't have to regen the whole stamina bar, but that'll come with time. I can't exactly describe every little pickup in this tutorial, but what you can do is watch some of my speedruns that I've done where I actually do regen. I think to have a good idea of what I need at that point. Alright, so I'm going to actually show you the faster way that we do the speedrun. So I'm going to do a skip and a boss fight that are going to be not the most beginner friendly, but I will show the other way to do them after this version. So for that, we're going to actually kill this enemy and try to get an item from him, the pine resin, which I might refer to turpentine here and there, just because that's what it's called in the original. And it didn't drop anything, unfortunately, so we're going to try and get another one later. And then we're going to run through these enemies, and we're going to roll through here and pick up these fire bombs. These are going to be useful for the boss as well. Thank you. Good, sir. Our fog gate here. Cool little thing if you didn't know, you can actually push enemies with your roll on Demon Souls. So that's one way I like to get through that enemy right there. Just hit him with a roll to actually get by him. No pine resin. That's another one you can farm for it. Didn't drop anything. Watch out for the problem here. Usually want to keep running through here. Being a good cycle. And these two will also drop an item. But wow, no luck. That was really bad luck. That's alright. Okay, before I actually go forward here, so if you know this area, there's an enemy blocking the way over there. So what I like to do to get him out of the way is to do a running attack, like right next to the wall to push him out of the way, and then go over here. And yeah, just get him out of the way and then go here. I'm going to quickly kill this guy, and I guess this guy so they don't bother me. But the first thing I'm going to show you here is a small little optimization called the boulder skip. So that boulder, as you most likely already know, is going to roll down this thing. And if you're just in this area, it's going to hit you. But one cool little thing we found, which is kind of based on something in the original, where you can actually roll over in there, but we can't in the remake. But one thing we can do in the remake is kind of go through it from this angle and then roll around it. So the boulder's going to be around here, right in front of my camera here. And then you're going to roll kind of through the side of it to get by it. So how to describe this? Let's see. Okay, here. So actually, I'm going to stand around right here. And what I would recommend for beginners is to kind of just face my camera, kind of how I'm now. Just have it facing this way. That way, all you have to do is hold forward as you roll. That is the best way I can describe it. I had a lot of trouble starting with this one for a couple months until I started doing this, where I just had my camera facing this. But you will have to get used to kind of the speed of the boulder coming toward you. So it might take a little bit to get used to this even, but this is the most easy way to do it. Because otherwise you can stand here and you're going to have to tilt your camera diagonally. And if you're not in the right position and your camera is on the right, or your camera, not your camera, your movement direction is in the right position, you won't actually roll around it. So, okay, I'll try to show you guys now how to do it. Like that. So just have the camera facing in front of you, and do keep an eye on the boulder, and just as soon as you can iframe it, go ahead. That's the best tip I can give for starting out. These days, I think I do kind of just go like this and just roll it sideways because I've gotten used to it so much over the last few months. But I definitely had trouble starting out. So, all right, and then this is actually where the run is going to deviate between the more optimized, faster, harder route of the 80% current patch and the easier. So this part onward is going to be the harder 80% current patch. So you don't have to start out doing this, but I'm going to show it first. All right, so what I would like to do is just kind of run here and then just go up. Unless it blocks you. If it blocks you, sometimes you can just kind of do a running attack through the corner and then go around him. But he likes to block sometimes. But usually I can just run here and then just take a sharp turn there. But you can also do something like this. It'll push him and then you can turn back. Alrighty, so again, like I said, this is going to be where the path deviates. I'm going to kill these enemies around here to have more free rounds to show you something. Alrighty, so this was found very recently, as of the release of this video. You can actually vault over this little wall and go out of bounds. So what I personally do, I'm going to go back a little bit just to not break the box, is run at the box right here and then quit out as soon as I kind of touch it. But don't be hanging next to it too long, because generally in Souls game, when you stand next to a breakable object and reload, it'll break them. But since I only stood next to it for a little bit, I should be a little bit far away from it. Yeah, now you're going to do the quit out maneuver, which we're going to do a lot in the speedrun. So you should get used to doing it for skips, but also just for safety. There's some moments where you might want to quit out to be able to proceed through the run or reset enemies or whatever. So it's just hitting start, hitting I think L1 to be in the settings function, and then I think you can mash X from there to quit out pretty much. And then obviously you can continue. And then what I'm going to do immediately as I load in is I'm going to go right next to the box, or right inside the box, and then jump over. It's very easy. Those enemies that I killed a bit ago may want to shoot at you. So I would recommend maybe once you get inside the box to just do a roll to get out of bounds. Thankfully, once you roll and the object hasn't fully loaded in, you won't actually break the object by doing the well, I can't use the... Oh, there you go. Can you even reach this? No, okay. But yeah, so you can actually break the object for a little while. So what happened there basically is that when you reload in this game, some objects won't load in as fast as some others. Obviously, the ground below you will load in first, I assume, and stuff like that. But some objects that are like breakable or maybe just not as stable will sometimes take a little while to load in. So what you're going to do is basically abuse that to get inside the little cabinet. And it's going to load in and it's going to boost you up. But then a few seconds later, it will reload fully and you can actually break it by falling through it. So you do want to be a little bit speedy once you're inside of it. And most objects in this game. But yeah, we use that a lot to get over a lot of objects. We're going to use it again very shortly, actually. But alright, so from here on, you want to run kind of in a straight line toward this wall right here, or through this boulder, and then to this wall. I would not recommend going through like here, so going this way, because I believe all of this is, yep, this, so you can see here, this is all out of bounds, so you can actually fall through here. So it looks like maybe that is fine to run through. Oh. You know, it's possible maybe you can walk through there, but I personally just go through here. To where I did, and then I'm just gonna run hugging the wall for a little bit. And then right here, I'm going to run here because as you saw a little bit there, this is out of bounds as well. So you can actually kind of like slip through here. It's a little bit tricky. You can't get as close to the like, so if you run through here, you're probably gonna fall. So I just like to run through here more so than anything. Because yeah, you just slipped right through. It'll sometimes like suck you in too. Alright, then run here. And then you want to go in a straight line to around here. And I would recommend stopping here. Now, this right here is actually stable ground. So it's invisible, obviously. We're very out of bounds, so it's going to look a little deceiving. But as you can see, there's a ceiling above my camera right now. As you saw here, I'm like holding down and it doesn't go down out of bounds until a little bit here. So you can actually walk here. Not forever, mind you. But we're going to use this to get further where we need to. Alrighty, so now we're going to start walking or running from here. And now I recommend stopping when you're like next to this little patch of bricks. Or somewhere around there. And then you should run at this little, I don't even know what to call it. Oh, I didn't realize this is like where the boulder is. Nice. So yeah, this is so you're gonna run at this little like thingy thing. So let me just back up a little so I can start running. Yeah, do it like this and then whoop. Ah, I messed it up. Of course I did. Alright, so this is how you save yourself sometimes. You're gonna quit out really quick. Alright, so maybe go a little further. Maybe like right here. Like right to the left of the little brick patch. So just when it starts getting a little more white. And then run at that. Or can I start up again? Fantastic. Yeah, so this is a little bit wonky. And so, you know what? Maybe let me backtrack. Because I have a better luck with it whenever I'm, you know, going from over there. Because I don't actually like stop there. I just go by feel more or less. I go here. And then, whoop, there you go. So this is where you want to land, basically. So you can sometimes slip off. If you roll, you might hit this little, like, crease thing. And it's going to, like, make you bounce off against the wall and fall down to your death. So you just want to land on this, essentially. And then you're going to run here. And then drop down. And then you're going to want to go over here. If you have your camera kind of facing the wall, this is going to happen. You're going to kind of like disappear. Or the ground's going to disappear, but it's still there. It just doesn't show. But actually was taught recently that if you have your character, like your camera kind of facing the character like through the wall, actually won't do that either. So if it bothers you when it does that, you can just do that. So yeah, I mean, this is what happens when you face the wall, you know. Yeah, if you kind of look at your character like this, not even as sharp as I'm doing, I think you just kind of still have it outside the wall. You won't despawn like that. Alright, yeah, so, I mean, there's a cool little bounce area. You want to just look around, you can. But what we're actually looking for is this. What even is this? Like a, I don't know, some kind of mechanism thingy. No, it's just like a pole. Yeah, that's just a pole thingy. You're going to reload here. But actually, before I do that, let me just put my wand in my left hand. So there's a lot of chance to do so. But yeah, we're going to quit out now. And from here, we're going to go into the settings, display mode, and then adjust visual mode to cinematic. So we've been in performance this whole time, which is 1080 60 FPS resolution. This switches us to 4K 30 FPS. And that actually makes some objects slow even slower than we did before. So we're actually going to abuse that to be able to get inside this thing, which should be a little more solid. And boost our way up. And you can actually switch back now, or like in the load screen, whatever you want. So some objects, usually something a little more solid like that, well, sometimes cinematic will help you boost through them. Performance isn't enough. You're going to have to actually go through there. And funnily enough, you can see the dragon there, which means that we're actually kind of around 1-2. So in the little prompt that you saw, it probably still said Gates of Boletaria. But we're going to go to the tip of this. Actually, a little bit more like right here. Should hopefully be nicer. Okay. So we're going to go like around here to be right above this little railing, but a little bit to the left of it. Maybe a little bit like this. Okay. Let's see how it goes. So we're actually going to quit out. And again, you can actually switch your mode back to performance if you don't like the cinematic 30 FPS. So I already did that, so I'm going to reload. And watch the little title prompt as I load in. It should say Lord's Path. Yeah. So we're going to fall to our death. And, you know, that's going to be a little spooky if you don't know what's happening. But what's going to happen here, since we're in Lord's Path, it is actually going to put us where the Lord's Path Archstone should be. But because we haven't killed the boss, it actually puts us pretty much inside of the Phalanx boss room. So we call this the Gates of Boletaria skip, the 1-1 skip or something, because it does skip like the second half of the level more or less. It's a good chunk of time save. It saves around 30 to 40 seconds depending on how you do this whole part of the run. As you can see, Phalanx isn't loaded in. It kind of is. If you go past this little archway, you can see that the hoplites are loaded in, but the actual boss is not, unfortunately. So we can't actually kill the boss like this. It's just kind of not loaded in and not anywhere. And, you know, fun fact, you actually can't skip this and go to Tower Knight if you like. There's nothing actually stopping you from going to Tower Knight. But if you've seen the speedrun, you will know that we don't actually do that. And that's mainly because killing Tower Knight at this level is very rough. So it's most likely not a time save, unless there's some strategies developed sometime soon or at some point in it all that kills the Tower Knight reliably and quickly. Most likely not gonna be right into the speedrun. But yeah, so we actually are going to kill the Phalanx, and the way we're gonna do that is we're gonna go back in, of course. I would recommend pulling out the wand. And, you know, as you go back in here, I notice that they actually have hitbox, by the way. So I'm like running into one right now. So you're gonna have to, okay, I see here. So I'm gonna, so you reload in around here, I believe. So usually just kind of go to the right here and go here to go around them. And to activate them, you're pretty much just gonna go to the fog gate. As you can see, we're now in the 1-1 technically. And you can see the enter fog prompt, press X. So just be ready, because as soon as you hit this, boss is loaded in. Okay, so what I like to do personally is stand around here and then stop. You're gonna be like, there's gonna be two little hoplites around you, so be careful with those. But what I like to do from here is get my firebombs out and start chucking them kind of in front of me. This guy on the right, as you can see, is ready to spear me. So what I like to do personally is backstep and then keep throwing more. So what you want to do here for this fight, so obviously if you know Phalanx as just a regular boss, it is weak to fire, and the firebombs are a really good way to not only kill the little ones around them, but also spread out space to be able to hit the actual boss. So because Phalanx actually heals if you don't get enough of these out, it's just good to get them out, spread them out with firebombs first before you can actually hit the boss. So yeah, we're going to just spread out a lot of space. You see that he's actually already taking damage, so this should be good. There's a lot of space too, so we can start actually doing flame toss. Ow. And this is already going really well. So right now you can see that the Phalanx getting a little bit close to closing him back in, and sometimes their hitbox is a lot bigger than you would think. So if that happens again, I would recommend saving a few bombs and then throwing more. That way you can put more space out. And then yeah, just kind of do that until you kill the boss. Pretty good stuff. And yeah, that was a pretty good fight. I guess this guy is gonna stay close, so you're not gonna be able to backtrack at all, but yeah, so that is the first boss of this area, and just the first area overall with the harder method. As I said earlier, we did not get a pine resin, so I'm about to show you something that's a little bit harder for the next boss. But once again, if you would like to do something a little bit simpler, stay tuned for like the later half of this video so I can show something more simple. Still a little tricky and you have to master something, but for now, you're not gonna have a pine resin, so we're gonna have to do without that. Alright, now I can go back to the Nexus. You're immediately gonna be greeted by a cutscene, so you can actually hold X. And this is just a regular run up to the monumental you're gonna do, so nothing new about that. Before you do that though, you're gonna talk to Baldwin and buy yourself a dagger.
You come back alive.
And then you're gonna run up to the monumental. We're gonna need this dagger for one boss, I believe. And that's the one that's gonna be made a little bit more difficult by the lack of turpentine, like a pine resin. So what I like to do generally is as soon as I run out of stamina, I just go in here and equip the dagger real quick. It's actually very easy. Just press start, go right once, and then mash X, and you should have it equipped. It's very, very quick. So just do it as you're running up to the monumental. You can do it in a couple of places, but that's just the best time to do it for me, and just so I don't forget later. So obviously you're going to go talk to them, and then you can skip this cutscene, and from there on, that's all you have to do. You actually don't have to do, like, they're going to talk to you again.
Now it is your turn.
You don't actually have to give them a choice at all. Just as soon as you talk to them, you're free to do the rest of the run. And just a quick little tip here. Here is a stone of Firmalize. So if you want to have these for backups, like in an actual speedrun, you can use these. There's one here. I'll show any really convenient one that I know of as I run through here. I should know a good chunk of them, so that's just the first one. And now what we're gonna do now is quit out and load back in. That's gonna put you at the bottom of the Nexus. So some people next to you bind in some runs, and you can do that, but you don't need to. Also, I'm gonna check this firebomb. I don't need any more. And I'm gonna take off this stone out of my hotbar just for now. But yeah, now we're on our way to 3-1. That's the next spot we're gonna go. So as stated, this is going to be a magic-based speedrun. And the main reason why is because we do have a skip that allows us to go to Sage Freke for some of those very powerful spells really fast. And that's basically what gives us the edge over the melee run. Because at the moment, there is no dupe for Demon's Souls Remake, unfortunately. Which would actually be really helpful for probably all the categories. But there's no dupe. And thus, the best way to get damage fast is magic. And even if there was a dupe, unfortunately I don't think that would mean the melee run is too viable either way, because the damage overall, like including magic, is still very much nerfed from the original. But magic is still, just relatively speaking, still very strong, so hopefully it doesn't make a more viable one once we find a dupe though. Alright, before I actually go further, I'm going to reload because there's some enemies we have to go around. Yeah, so the first thing you're gonna do is go to the left here. Go around this whole level. You can just kind of ignore this mind flare. And then go to the end of this hallway towards those coffins. I would recommend quitting out around here, I guess. I guess this little thing on the floor is like around the best. Don't get too close though before you quit out, because that's, you know, your like I said earlier, if you stand too close to an object when you're loading, you're gonna break it. Oh god. So, excuse me. Oh, there you go. We're going to do something called a Coffin Skip, and I'm going to just briefly describe how you do this. I do have a whole video on how to do this and the following skip right immediately after this. But you're basically gonna stand around here in the coffin and walk in this little line that I'm showing right now, post editing. That's the personal lineup I use for this skip, what's gonna happen is you're gonna vault over, like you're gonna load in back again, like in the other skip, get boosted up, and then load back in, and then you're gonna vault over this fencing. But you don't want to land all the way in the bottom because you'll die, obviously. Big drop. So you want to land on that little lip right here. This one. So to do that, you're gonna have to just kind of go in a very particular angle because there's this thingy that gets in the way. It's a little tall. And like if you go too much to the left, you're gonna bounce against this wall. Alright, sorry, I'm control this is a little bit wonky sometimes, but yeah, so you don't want to bounce that wall or get caught up by this spike. So to me, going like in a line right this will bypass both of them. Yeah, so let's do it now. Quit out and reload. Go in the little position where I told you, and then I would recommend rolling forward like that, because sometimes it's possible to like slip off, and it's not always deadly, but it just kind of became a habit of me just rolling forward. I wouldn't recommend backstepping. Like I haven't tested it much, but sometimes if you roll off of a place too fast, the game won't register that you actually landed in it, so it might just take like the full fall damage from up there to the bottom, even if you did hit this. So a backstep and a roll back. I haven't tested it much. Maybe I should for optimizing sake, but it's very spooky when it comes to this game. So I'll just recommend rolling forward, and then you can just drop down. Okay, so I stop here because the next goal. Oh, that's a nice pose. Is to get that item right there. Those are H-Spice or Old Spice. I might call them Old Spice because that's what they called in the original. Believe it or not. You can guess why they changed that name. But it's going to be a particular way that I get them. So I stop right before this so I can show you. But yeah, this ball is obviously going to aggro. You can get two RNGs. You can either get the Soul Ray attack, the charging thing. That's actually really good. That's pretty much a free grab of the item. But it may also do a little flail attack with the swords it has. And that you can get through that pretty quick too. But what I do personally is kind of get to around, I might just show it. So get to around here and then just roll into the coffins here. As you can see, I kind of rolled without getting damaged. So yeah, I would recommend rolling through it. If he does a magic attack, he can kind of go around the coffins, but I usually still do it anyway, just my habit. And then once you grab it, just roll kind of diagonally here outside of his range. So as long as you're this speedy, he's not going to be able to touch you really. Like, it's very rare that he still hits you. He still can, mind you, but it's pretty good. And then Soul Ray, like I said, it's pretty good. Right, and then just go this way. And what I like to do is roll here before the cutscene. That way you can kind of keep some forward momentum as you go through the cutscene. Alright, so now we got the arrow traps. And we obviously have a skip for this because it's kind of... Like, I doubt it's intended the original, but they obviously kept it in because they actually made a trophy related to this. So I'm sure most of you have done it. Ooh, nice pose again. Yeah, so this is going to be important. Again, I do have a video for this. It's the same one as the last skip that I just did, the coffin one. But what I'm going to do is regen stamina until I get to here. And then is when I'm going to start running and taking pretty much the straightest lines I can to that corner right there. And then I'm going to aim for that item. I should be circling now in post. That's the Clever Rat's Ring. You're going to need that for the speedrun, obviously. But you also want to be able to set up Clever Rat's Ring range as you get the skip. So how much health do I have now? Okay, so I did take a little bit of fall damage extra. So I actually want to take only one arrow. So I want to take one arrow. So I'm going to grab the item from a little bit to the right of the Clever Rats. If I were... Because I took 2 fall damages when I dropped down from the Coffin Skip. If I only took 1 bit of fall damage, I would have gone a little bit to the left so I can take 2 arrows. Which would be more efficient. Again, I believe I described all this in the video. So do make sure to check that if you want to check a more thorough explanation on that specifically. So yeah, let's go. There you go. So that's 1 arrow. Can you see it in my character? You should be able to. Wait, where is it? What? It's not it, is it? No, that's this. Wait, is that it? No, that's the auger, never mind. Anyway, so yeah, so I took only one arrow from that. Basically, that's all that matters. I believe you could potentially take counter hits from this, but it's more so about how many arrows you take. So you can see all these arrows actually do have a specific hitbox. So I only took one, but if I want to, I can take two, and that's only if I take less damage falling down from the Coffin Skip. Now, if you take 3, you're dead, so don't take 3, which is a little easier said than done, obviously. But once you do this enough, if you ever are at full health and you nearly die, still you'll know that you took 3, basically. So yeah, and then fun fact: if you're still a little too high on HP, you actually can take damage from this thingy. I guess let's show here. Yeah, so I guess that was around a third of your health. So just you need to take a little bit, take that, but don't run into it because you actually can take a counter hit as well. But yeah, that's basically all. I just suggest you have your HP set up already. There is actually other ways to set it up too. Like sometimes if I don't take the 2 arrows, I'll set it up with let's see. So I'll try to get hit by this arrow right here on the far left by sticking to the far right, coming this way, and only take one of them, and then I just toggle escape it, which actually I don't think I've described toggle escape yet, which I guess I can do that in a moment. But that's another advanced tip I can give. So obviously you can now run up to the full Zyder Reviver. You're gonna have to take it out to be able to kill the full Zyder, of course. And what I meant with toggle escape earlier is if you ever take damage, or if you ever know that you're going to take damage, what you can do so your momentum is not stopped at all or nearly not stopped is just spam toggling a weapon on either side of your hands. That animation will actually override the damage animation, unless if it's a really heavy attack that knocks you back. If it's just a normal attack that staggers you a little bit, you can actually toggle it and get rid of it. You can actually do this as well when you are landing somewhere. Instead of taking the landing animation, if you are toggling before you land and then spam circle, you would just do a toggle animation as you land and you're able to run a lot faster. Sometimes it's not preferable to do that. Sometimes you just want to roll when you get there. Once you hit the bottom, you can just roll so not have that landing animation. We are going to need that soon, actually. We don't want to toggle escape. And I'll make sure to point out some examples. I think I actually might have done some earlier when I was getting around the enemies, but... Alright, so obviously door. This is a good time to put on the Clever Rat's Ring. You're actually going to need the Clever Rat's Ring and the dagger here soon. So I recommend putting it on there. And then what I like to do personally is run to the end of the hallway, and then when I touch the ground, or the wall more or less, shoot with a fireball and then immediately pick this up. I shoot the fireball first, so I make sure that the enemy has that and I get the souls before I quit out, because... So I do that, pick up key, and then immediately quit out. The reason why I do that in the order is, again, because if you quit out too early, that means that you're going to not have killed the enemy, and the fools that may revive on you. And the reason I do quit out is because technically this segment is a boss room, and you can't quit out inside a boss room, at least not yet. Until you kill the boss, you usually can't do that. So it just puts you outside of it, even if it's on top of it. It's still technically considered the boss room, so it puts you outside of it. So yeah, and if you're unsure if it actually did die because you were too fast or something, you can just check at the back there. Oh, by the way, footer mode is not allowed in speedrun, so don't use it. I'm just using it to display stuff. And alright, so now what we're gonna do is go to this little broken ledge, obviously. You're going to want this item. It's a Widow's Lotus. We're gonna need that later for main Astraea, so do make sure to pick that up. If you don't pick it up, it's not really a big deal, but it's just an optimal kind of thing, since there is some Widow's Lotus before the maiden room itself. But I usually pick it up here. But as you probably know, there is a Black Phantom that's invisible right now, but it should be I think like right there. The center of my screen right now. So what we're gonna do is pick up the item, and then we're gonna listen for her to shoot her bolt one more time. She's gonna shoot once you're dropping down to the ledge, and then we're gonna wait for another bolt, and then we're gonna roll off. So for the first arrow, there's a second. I did roll a little before that I knew was coming. So yeah, there it is. There's the Black Phantom. Ooh, nice little hue right there. About my HP, I just noticed maybe I should explain a little bit of that. As long as you're not too low, I want to say if you're like around 100 HP or above, once you hit this ledge, you should be able to survive. So let's say 120 or above, or maybe just shy of Clever Rat's Ring, you can definitely survive the job. By the way, if you don't know, for this class, 164 should be the Clever Rat's Ring range as your max. So if you ever need to just do some quick math and you're unsure if you can heal a little bit or something, for example, Crescent Moongrass heals 120 HP. If you're at like 20, you should have 140 once you heal up with it, so you're still in Clever Rat's Ring range. So that's a good number, little number to know. 164 for no VIT leveling. Now, as I said, we don't want to toggle skips here, so we're actually going to roll. And then kind of zigzag as you run up. And it's a little hard to hear the bolts, but you should be able to hear them. And as long as she didn't follow you, yeah, they should be hitting the floor. And you should be safe. Okay. So this is another video that I have made already, so if you want more of the script video on it, where it shows a lot of things that can go wrong and stuff, check out the full Zydo speedrun strat here in the iCard. I'm sure a lot of you have seen this already, if you actually have seen a speedrun already, but basically what we're going to do for this boss is stun lock the boss to death. And it is a very precise way to do it. And if you have seen the video, or you watched or came back after that, you do see that I use a black or a pine resin for the actual fight. But as I stated earlier, I do not have one now, which means that I'll have to fight it without the pine resin. Now, this strategy is already very difficult without the pine resin, so I don't entirely recommend doing this route if you're starting out speedrunning and are not very good at this fight yet without pine resin. So what you can do is either farm out those enemies that I told you about, like go back to 1-1 and farm them, or you can do the other version of this route, which I will show right after this fight. I'm going to show you very quickly how to do the other version. I'll pretty much speed run through the rest of the run, or just those chunks of the run. Yeah, so I don't have any prep to do. I already have Clever Rat's Ring. The Clever Rat's Ring is on me already, and I have my dagger out. And you will also want your wand out. And I would personally recommend killing at least this enemy right here. 2R1 should do it. Yeah, I'm going to do it now. If you haven't seen the video, I'm going to just briefly describe that what you want to do is look at the top left for your stamina. Basically, all you want to do is hold left stick up and then hit R1s so that the yellow or the green little bar of the stamina is just about to reach the yellow, or like just above it, but not too much because it'll actually warp away. So the stun lock actually works very precisely where you need to almost let the green meet the yellow, but not quite. Like you want to have a little bit behind, or else it's going to not stun her basically. So in the video that I'm describing, I saw a lot of things that can go wrong with that part. I didn't mean to do that, but you can actually just get close to the shrine to go away, obviously. But again, this is a really hard strat to get down to start off. Like it's not too bad once you get enough practice with it, and you can definitely start out practicing without the pine resin, and then when you actually do runs, you can do it with the pine resin. That should be a lot easier. Basically, it saves you like around 10 seconds of focus to do the pine resin. So for the speedruns, generally the idea is that we do want to have a pine resin farmed, so this fight is faster. But at least I generally only kill one of the enemies, the first one, running up to the through N1. So I only kill that first one. If I don't get it, oh well. If I do get it, that saves me around 10 seconds, or maybe more like 7, because you do have to apply the resin as well. And yeah, that just makes this fight a little easier and a little faster. But again, I would not recommend doing this until you have mastered that fight with a pine resin at least. If you feel like you're very consistent with the pine resin buff, then you may be ready to do this run. Like the skip I showed earlier, the Phalanx one, is very easy, honestly. But this is what makes it really hard, because you can actually pick up a guaranteed pine resin if you actually do the other route, which I'll show now. Basically, so just to cap off this little segment, grab the Archstone. You're going to get the Fool's Idol soul. Do not use that soul as a poppable. Don't get it for like souls in your top right. You're going to keep it. And then you're going to work back to Nexus. Alright. I am now going to very quickly show you how to do the safer or more beginner friendly version of the speedrun for pretty much what I just showed you just now. Just 1-1 to 3-1 run-throughs. A lot of it's going to be very similar, but the only thing we're going to really do different is we're going to bypass the 1-1 skip, the Gates of Boletaria skip. Or some people want to call it the lever skip, because you skip the lever that alongs Phalanx, which is a fair name as well. Yeah, so I actually already picked up this firebomb. This is a different save file. Yeah, as soon as I get that. I guess this shows you kind of my path around here. So there's going to be a firebomb here. As long as I keep running, it should be fine. Then I like to kind of... If he's swinging, I like to hug the wall a little moment so I don't get hit by it, because the fire buffs hurt a lot. Then, like I said, I'd like to do... Running R1. Whoops. Unless I miss. Then here... Like I said, I usually do it like this, like, because I already have enough practice to be able to do it at an angle. But... Alright, so we're going to go here now. So this is basically the run that's a level fight. Actually, I want to show you a quick little extra pickup. If you want more firebombs for Phalanx, there is another set here. So I should put you at 16 if you picked up the starter gift too. So yeah, after that, you want to go to the fog. Let me just see real quick. And then what I like to do here is just slow down here, drop right here, and then roll immediately because of the fire or the barrels that he's gonna explode. He's gonna throw a bomb. Right here, I like to run to the right and then just kind of like swerve quickly to the left. That way I debate him. Then here, just kind of stick to right there. Just some stamina before we get here. And that should be pretty much enough stamina for the run up here to the fog gate. Then right here, what I like to do personally is kind of hit this at an angle with the sword attack and then just run back. And what I like to do here is put on the Catalyst and the Nexio Bind. Before you do that though, I would actually recommend like healing here and then going to your menu, because you can actually heal as you menu. Like once you pop the animation, it'll just go through and stuff, so. Alright, so I'll actually take a moment to slow down here for this little bridge, and that's something I would like to describe for anyone. Like the run up to here is okay, but the bridge here is very rough, so. So, as you all know, that bridge is right there is really scary, and we are going to go through it with before the dragon even gets a chance to roast us, so even though the dragon is helpful, we're going to run through it. So what I'd like to do personally is kind of get my stamina regen when I'm around here. Before the enemy aggros, then kind of take this path. Bait that enemy to the left, to the right, to the right. Then take some sharp lefts. Okay, that was really bad with the archers, but yeah, that's sort of what I like to do there. They hit the lever. So basically, I think I want to mostly bait enemies at first to the right. And then go around some of them blocking the way to the left. And then go back. You basically zigzag a little bit, I want to say, or swerve around. And yeah. And then now here's what makes it easier for Fool's Idol later. If you just roll this guy, then roll through these little cabinet things, you get a free stack of pine resins. So you get 4. And I mean, you only need one of them, but you do get a couple chances extra for full Zyto if you get interrupted for some reason. So it's really nice to get. And it's very beginner friendly for full Zyto, which is already a little bit hard encounter to do. So this is why the 1-1 skip was actually not used right away, because we actually forgot that it's possible to kill full Zyto without the Pine Resonant whatsoever. Once I remembered that, because Ashwin did it without it, and it reminded me they can do that. So I was like, oh wait, maybe we can do that skip that was found a couple months back. So I wrote it in, and yeah, it's been used a little bit here and there for some of the more optimal runners. Okay, so I did mention there's a current patch guide. I did not specify if it's going to be PS Plus Warp or no PS Plus Warp. And the main reason is because I'm going to cover both more or less. So right now, at this point in time, we have two options. Or we actually have three. You can Nexio bind here and use the PS Plus Warp to load back into 1-1. You can take a death from these enemies to spawn the very beginning of 1-1. Or you can run back down to the tower and just get the normal path, the shortcut. I'm going to show the third version because that's the hardest one to do out of all three. I'm not entirely sure if it's faster to take the death or not. I haven't personally timed it. But knowing OG, it's faster definitely than warping back. But the PS Plus Warp actually makes it worth it to work back with an XP bind. But I'm going to show the third. But it's not what you have to do, I guess. I mean, if you do no PS Plus Warp, it could potentially be faster than just taking a death. But I'm going to show that first. So what I like to do is just kind of like bait enemies to the right here, maybe roll around here. And then if I'm a little bit low on health, I like to take a grass here because that's going to aggro this enemy. Like it's going to hear you or something and they're just going to start walking. If you don't take that heal, he might just like hit you when you're passing there. So I like to do that. He doesn't really touch you or anything. And then what I like to do here is get on this little lip. Like I'll kind of like go here. Like I'll turn back around, go in this lip and then drop down here. Just slowly like this. And as long as I land here, because you could potentially fall, I like to land back down more. And there's a good time to take a heal if you need it, because Phalanx is a bitch. These are half moons here, so that's pretty handy. And what actually we could do here is actually pull the lever first, then heal, and then go to the boss fight. And then you can do the Phalanx fight more or less the same as like I did over here. Like I usually go to this here and start chucking bombs and keep an eye on the one to the right and sometimes the left one as well. We did for a little while do an optimal thing where we actually went the fire bombs you pick up like right after spawning to the level, the ones on the left rather than the ones I showed you in the backup. So you just basically had the fire bomb start as a starter gift. And for a little while that was the more optimal thing to do. Just what we did instead is buff our fire sword, then we threw our fire bombs, and then we did flame toss. But if some Phalanx's hoplites were still kind of like in the way, we usually did this combo. It was R1, 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 R2. That helped us clear up a little bit more of the Phalanxes, because if you have less fire bombs, that means that you will not clear them out as much. But the flame toss is not very good at clearing them overall, because it only hits like one, maybe two targets at once, with not a very big area of effect. So, but because we now have the 1-1 skip, like honestly, if you want to be optimal, you might as well do that as opposed to that method. So that's a little bit outdated, but that's something you can do, I suppose. Alright, so once again, we get the dagger, and now I'm just going to equip it. This is a good way to show how I do this in a speedy manner, since I don't want to explain everything again. Or I'm not going to. I may do this kind of with my PBs or something, or some videos where I do this pathing really well. Like maybe after I explained how to do a segment, I might show how to do it in the speedrun. Or how I do it in a speedrun. So you can just see how it goes in a really speedy manner. Yeah, now we're gonna do the bit I was describing as well. Go to 3-1. We're gonna do the Coffin Skip and then the air trap skip. And you can see it now how it's really quick. Thankfully this bypasses any key that we need. The only key we're gonna need soon is the Freke skip. The special key, which is the one we already got in the other playthrough. We got it in the back of the reviver, which I guess I didn't really explain, but I did mention that we get the key, so I hope none of you missed that. If you did, then I guess go back for it. Yeah, so this is how I do this. I do this, and then here. So this is good RNG. You can just kind of go around. Now I would recommend rolling here because he may do the melee attack. Yeah, he's already doing it. Then roll here. Skip cutscene. Wait until you're here at full stamina in the corner. Start running in straight lines. I guess I didn't explain it much, but you do want to go from here in the corner and go as straight as line as you can to there. Oh, and also another thing you can do is like pick up the item to actually duck the arrows. You can actually do that if you don't know, which is something I do describe in the video as well. So again, if you want to get more thorough explanation, check the iCard for that. Then of course we go to the reviver and kill it. So I do recommend having the pine resin out already as this. Unless if you're like super low on health, that's all you need for now. And again, when it comes to actually doing the fight for the full Zyto, you're gonna basically want to do something like this, stamina management wise, like if you see the top left. Just have it always be really close to getting the yellow, but not quite. That's all you want to do in the fight. Actually, if you want to practice without doing the fight itself, you can do something like that. Just go against the wall. As long as it doesn't bounce you back, I suppose. And thankfully, you can just kind of quit out the fight if you're not using a pine resin to practice the rhythm at least. Yeah, so I guess, like I said, pick up the key. You will need it soon. My bad for not mentioning it earlier, but you do need it. And then when I'm here, go to item, wait for it to shoot, or almost shoot. She has a very specific rhythm generally to shoot, so then that. Usually shoots again around here. And yeah, so okay, so now that you have Turpentine, what I would recommend to be able to kill the enemy that I mentioned earlier is have your Turpentine in this hotbar slot that's ready available. Once you skip this cutscene, just start mashing square so you can turn on the pine resin or put it on, and then you can kill this guy with one hit. Oh, if you put on the clever rat ring anyway. Hold on. So actually, if you would like to bypass killing this guy, which is a little risky because he can actually interrupt you sometimes, like I want to say in 1 in 10 chances he's gonna come in like bother you while you attack the full Zyto. If you actually want to, like, you basically just run up to her, and then when you're right next to her, you can actually pop the Turpentine. But I do recommend starting out like killing that enemy. Right, so no, this is the exact same thing more or less. Oh, messed it up. Messed it up being a little. I didn't lock on basically, and that messed me up a little bit. I guess I can show the other method now. So basically, just run in. I believe the reviver or the enemies survived. Yeah. So what I generally do is go right next to her, pop this, make sure to be locked on, and then yeah, just do your thing. So again, with this, you do have a little bit more leeway to be able to kill her before your stamina is really low. Like if you go really aggressive, you still can stun lock her. Like I'm going really fast right now. But as you can see, my stamina is just very, very consumed very quickly. So I'm gonna be careful. And then again, I don't think I actually said it, but like once you're really low on the stamina, if you can actually get 2 fire shots in. Like if you just go real quick, you can just do 2 of these. And that should do a good chunk of the health. So hopefully you have enough. And you can do 1 more swing really quick as well if you have time. But Like I would ideally just like kind of go until your stamina bar is pretty much all done, and then just if you just see that it's pretty much done, yeah, use the fireballs. All right, so now we're back in the original character that I was showing for the no turpentine stuff. As you can see, we don't have any right now. So the next thing we're gonna do is go to the Maiden in Black, and if you haven't died and lost any souls, you should be able to get 25 magic right here. And you'll have very little souls. 156 is around the ballpark what I usually have myself. It doesn't really matter. As long as you get 25 magic, that's all that matters. Because you are going to lose the souls. If you're maybe like one level above 25, then I think I would recommend putting into Endurance, I want to say. I think that's the better one to use it on right now. And then once you're done with that, you just pretty much go right back to 3-1. Because the next step is going to be to free Sage Freke. I'm gonna try to describe this as best I can, but I do have a video that goes into it much better than I can in a video like this format with the commentary above it. So if you're having trouble with this, do check that out instead of this. But we're gonna do the first stop before I actually do any quit outs and stuff. What I want to show you is that like we're actually going to go inside of this little cell thingy. Well, I don't know how to describe it. And we're going to try to clip inside of it, but we don't want to have ourselves be centered. We want the... It's a pain in the butt to... So you can see the silhouette of my character right now. We want something like this. So we want our left shoulder to be kind of centered against this door, but like obviously clipping through. Yeah, it looks good, more or less. Maybe a little bit more to right, but something around here, like on this camera perspective. And we're gonna be walking kind of forward, and then we're gonna get boosted up, and then we're gonna like fall to the right as we get boosted up to have the right setup. So I'm just describing how it's gonna look in a moment, because I'm not gonna get a lot of chances to describe how it's gonna be. Yeah, so we quit out first. Once you get near this little thing. And then we're going to do what I described. Boost it up, then fall to the right. Reload one more time as you start falling. And then when we load back in, you're going to go to the left and up at, I want to say like a 45 or 30 degree angle. So not exactly to the left, but not up either. So something like this. As you can see, we're gonna be around here. Like there's gonna be this black wall that kind of like face through. It's gonna look a little bit awkward, but yeah, so we're gonna get boosted up basically. And we're gonna be like right above this barrel in a moment, but oh, which already broke apparently. Generally you wanna wait for that barrel to... You're gonna spawn by that barrel. And then you're gonna wait for that barrel to pop, and then as soon as you do, you're gonna be ready to quit out. So basically, have your quit out mini ready until you hear that barrel pop, and then it should boost you up. I don't think it's gonna work well because of I'll try it again one more time with my other character I had for this last segment, but if this happens, this is actually not bad. If honestly, if you get to this point, you already got to the hard part. This is a very wonky bit because it may just require you to stay here for a little while and get boosted, because it's like, since we're out of bounds, it's not a very consistent thing, or at least we haven't found it being very consistent. So sometimes you'll just have this meme and you'll eventually get boosted up. That was perfect timing. So I'll try to skip again a little faster in a moment, like I was saying, but yeah, so if you just get past that part where you're in the barrel, honestly you pretty much did it already. I know a lot of people get stuck there and think they did it wrong, but actually they're fine. So once they're here, they're in a good spot. What is that? Is it like bats or something? That's cool. Anyway. So if you're on top of the thing, you're pretty much set. This is definitely a very hard skip because it's very weird to know what's happening. But essentially, we started out down there. That's the 3rd floor right there. And then we got boosted up to the 4th floor. And this is the barrel that we were just talking about. But you're basically just abusing the whole boosty thing to get all the way up to the top. And this is in performance actually, not even in cinematic, which is interesting, but Yeah, so that's what's happening. You boost yourself from the 3rd floor, then to the 4th. And then to the ceiling. So I guess. Again, I'll show it again in a moment, but I do want to show how to do this. So if you go a little bit too far to the right, you're going to fall, I believe, just... Yeah, so here is like a little bit of a falling. There's no actual bounds here. You seem like actually do have a little bit of leeway here. So yeah, you have some padding here. But once you get here, there's a lot less ground to walk on. So as you can see, I like even just a little bit to the side of here will make you fall either way. So basically what you want to do from here is connect like this little railing thing or fencing that I'm walking on. Make a line in your brain that connects that one and that one right there. Both of those together. And you want to walk along that line. Or run, I would say, rather, if you're speedrunning. If you do want to be careful as you start out, yeah, just walk, I suppose. Because I do personally... okay, I don't usually run the other way, so that confused my brain, but... I usually run across... Sometimes you will have like a little bit of an archway you can actually save yourself from, so... If you drop a little bit here like that, it's not too bad, but... Oh god, I think I messed it up. Oh no. Yep, I messed it up. Okay, so I guess it's a good time to show the other method I suppose then. But yeah, so just make a mental note in your brain to where to run to connect the two lines. What I like to do, I'll show when I get back there. But I like to kind of like connect them in my brain with my character's head. So I kind of use my character's head as like a lineup. Like, okay, just follow your character's head in a specific camera angle. And that's how it looks. Okay, so once again, showing the skip. Reload. Left shoulder, boost. Fall off. Go out again, reload. Go to the left, right in a 30 or 45 degree angle. Then this barrel. Well, I messed it up a little bit, the menuing there, but I saved it. And then as soon as I hear the barrel pop, like 9 out of 10 times it should boost you, or maybe like 4 out of 5 times it should boost you to the above. So that barrel right there that's broken is what boosted us here, basically. Yeah, and now we're back here. And then now let's try to do this with the run. So yeah, my head is... Okay, let me try that again. I actually let myself up first again. That was a little bit hasty. Oops. I'm going to show you now. I go strat to reject your deaths, basically. So, like, I do mention this in the how to speedrun video, but force quitting actually resets your last death. The main reason I'm not showing it now is because it's not allowed either in speedruns. Like, if you do a force quit, it actually reverts your IGT. So it can be a very easy way to just reject the basically last couple minutes that happened. So we're not allowing that in the speedrun. It's only for practice, more or less. But I did make that clear in the video. But yeah, so I only use it occasionally. But alright, so again, so what I do is I use my character's head as kind of a lineup. Like I just follow my character's head, try to stay in a stick line, and then have my character kind of facing the right way, my camera. Alright, cool. So now that we're here, you're just gonna drop down here. And right here is where the magical sharpness ring is. If we had the 4F key, this would be a good pickup to have, but we don't. So in an 80% current patch at least, we do not pick that up yet. We get it another way. We'll see soon. But yeah, so we drop down here, and then we open this door. And I personally like to do this, use this moment to set up my menu. So this is the order I usually have to have is Crescent Moon, Fresh Spice, H Spice, the Widow's Lotus, and then next year Bind. Usually I need to equip this right now or maybe early in the run, but if I don't, I usually equip it here because you won't need it soon. There has been a couple other ways that you can like drop down to Sage Freke that I've found. Or not that I found, but people have found. But they're very inconsistent to my experience, so I either need to practice some more or more consistent setup in the found or something. But there's actually quicker ways to get down here, but For now, I usually still do this. I pick up that H-Spy, that's a quick little backup. And then the third cell here is Sage Freke. So, yeah, one of the setups is like, from the top there, you land on this spike. And then you can roll like right there, and that's like in front of the cell. That's really, really fast. That's probably the fastest method found by Kazuto. But like I did a first try when I first tried it, but I found it to be inconsistent afterwards. So I've been doing that. The other one that I've found is like landing on this lip right here, on the 4th floor. Then landing on this thingy, on this lip, kind of like the Coffin Skip, and then landing on the 3rd floor as well. The problem with that one is that first of all, this lip is very hard to get to from the top. Second of all, you can't land against the wall of this segment like you can of the Coffin Skip. That one actually is phased through. Here, I can probably use the camera. So if I get close to this and get close to this, you can see that. Oh god, so dark. Wait, I'm getting a little bit. It's like so dark I can't even see. Yeah, so it should be that, right? Yeah, like you can actually face through this. I guess I can reach it, but you can't like kind of use the wall as a backup to roll. So you have to land on the very tip of the railing there too. So it's very precise too. So I don't like it personally. Anywho, so yeah, now you just talk to him real quick. Once you get his Jerry's stiletto, you can next bind back because you are done freeing Sage Freke.